Having both of my boys have cars they're interested in wrenching on is very, very cool. But it does make scheduling a little tight sometimes, especially since I still need to find time to work on my own stuff. Noah expressed that he wanted to take things a little bit slower and less stressful on the rebuild of his car. And we set a tentative goal of getting to the June drift event. That kind of got pushed aside when I got the opportunity to race in an event that same weekend, but it is what it is. We still set a list and started plugging away at these little tasks that needed to be done to get the car running again. Going pretty quick today, so it's a quick one to check off the list. There might be something else that takes a little bit longer. We got the oil cooler reinstalled and then started working on the fuel system.
Try 13 blade.
He got a new fuel cell for Christmas, and it used an external pump instead of the internal pump like the old fuel cell.
All right, so all that's doing is spinning.
The thing itself, yeah.
So that this part stays. So you want to put a wrench on here, and you're going to loosen this one from there. The red and the blue is all part of one fitting.
Okay, that
This is the spinny part. This is the hose end. So put this on. No, you're still not on anything. This is going to want to go.
some bigger for that one on.
Well, it's got like an oblong shape. Okay, so you're gonna hold that like that.
Okay, like that.
And then loosen the blue one. You're going the wrong way. There you go.
Ah! I was holding it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those fittings are tricky the first time you look at them because you don't know what moves and what doesn't. It just...
Yeah, I was trying to hold it from here and
Right.
spin it. I didn't realize it was... I thought these two parts came apart and this was connected to that.
Yeah, which again, that's kind of how it looks. So until you do a lot of them. All the clamps, like where it's being held up.
These things?
Yep. So whatever, I don't know if there's screws or 5/16 nut heads or whatever, but take those off and we'll just take that whole line out of the car.
Okay. Oh wait, no, that's just... Wait, is this another screw? No, this is a... What's it called? It's a zip tie.
Yeah, we'll just unloosen it. And there is one behind it. It looks like it's probably on that bracket that's like the original gas tank bracket towards the back of the car.
Oh, right here?
Yeah. You're looking for anything that's attached to the fuel line.
We've got the fuel cell. This is the outlet, okay? That's going to go to the fuel pump. This is an electric fuel pump. So gas goes in one side. This is an electric motor. It pushes it out to the front of the car, to that filter. You asked about why we're changing the line. So this old one, it went because the other tank had, the pump was inside the cell. So it would pump the gas and it was on the top. So this was where the old outlet was. Well, that doesn't reach where we're going, and I want to be able to mount the pump where I want to mount the pump. So that's where we're going to just change the whole line. That way we can put this where we want. We'll have to get a mounting bracket. They sell them on Amazon that fits this. And then, see, it says flow. You have to make sure that that's pointing the right direction, because otherwise you'll have the pump backwards and it'll just burble in the tank and won't go anywhere. So we're going to mount this like over here, because just like everything else we're doing, I want it to be protected. If you hit a wall or someone smacks into you or something, I don't want them to hit the fuel pump.
Okay.
So everything we're doing is being run inside the frame rails of the car so that it's safer. So we'll get a mount. We'll mount this here, and then we'll have the line will come out, go to there. We'll put the new line up to that fuel filter up front. The purple wire, I believe, is what I used for the fuel pump wire. We'll double check that. But then, but that's the system. So we already have this. This one is one of the fittings for the pump. I think we might need another one of these for the other side. We'll double check that. And then we'll have to make sure that we have hose ends. So the other thing, just as I'm teaching you this stuff, so these ends, so these are called AN fittings. It stands for Army Navy.
Okay.
All right, this is what the Army and Navy used, back in the wars, and then racers just adopted them, kind of like they did everything else that racers use. Is it all kind of like stemmed from wartime stuff, like the seatbelts that we use, like your harnesses. Those were what they had in the fighter jets, in the airplanes.
I was going to say, they look familiar.
They're just a 3-inch. That's they started using them not because they were better. It was because they had them in surplus. Like they would get them out of old planes, and that's what they started using. So the fittings are kind of the same way. So Army Navy fittings, AN fittings, and they are used. They're a number, but they're like we've been using like metrics, right? So like 10 millimeter, 13 millimeter. So these numbers are different than that. What it is it's over a 16th. So it's whatever number over a 16th. So an 8 AN line is 8 over 16. It's a half-inch line. All right. 10 AN line is 10 over 16. So it's a 5/8 line. So that's just the ratio of it, but those are the numbers that we talk in. So when you get into race car stuff, usually we're going to using like a 10, maybe an 8 on this car because it doesn't need a lot. But like on the van, like I have a 12 line coming out to my pump because it just gives that much more volume. So, but that's, whenever we talk in these numbers, that's what it is. And if you just remember it's over a 16th, you'll always be able to kind of figure out where, what number it is, what size. All right, so we made a hose end, which was super duper easy, right?
Shut up.
So we know that we want our pump somewhere over here. And we'll have some room. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect, but we'll probably put a piece of tape right around here. We'll cut it with the Dremel, and then we can put this hose end on that side, and we're good until we get the other fittings.
Cool.
All right. Got our handy dandy Dremel with cutoff wheel. Now, I've only used rated stainless fuel line before. I've never used this cloth shielded stuff, and we really didn't need to use the Dremel, but you gotta learn somehow. You just need to go like a little bit at a time because you hear how it was like
slowing down.
Like that means there's too much tension on it. So it's gonna be like tiny cuts or tiny surfaces to it. And that was as far as we can get with the fittings that we had. In the meantime, my latest Facebook targeted ad showed up. These really cool sticker banners for our helmets. Now, like I said, I have a really big race coming up, and it's at a normal, regular drag strip, not like the no prep or street stuff that I've been doing, and I needed to make sure that some of my stuff was up to tech. My old seatbelts will get a new lease on life in John's drift car. Meanwhile, I needed current tags. I also realize it's time for me to start wearing fire gloves in the van. With the engine right next to me, the suit is good, but gloves are pretty important. And I was very concerned on whether or not I was going to be able to use my nitrous purge, which is missing a cap because they don't sell them individually, with the gloves on. I'm not convinced that this is going to work, especially when I'm up at the starting line and all hyped up. Another situation I've been putting off for years is the way that my rear lug nuts are. My axles have 5/8 studs, and these wheels are made for shoulder-style lug nut. I figured if I was going to be on a sticky track front side, it was time to get the proper lug nuts. Or so I thought. The problem I found is that the studs have a shoulder on them, so they don't thread all the way down. So these lug nuts that I bought were pretty useless. We had to have them cut. So my dad's friend Scotty has a machine shop and cut them down to what we thought was going to work. But they still need to be drilled out more. Back to the drawing board on that. Another situation I've neglected is a small coolant leak. Now, I was going to try to get this fixed before putting it on the turntable at Summit, but I didn't want to have an issue where I tore this thing apart and for some reason, some stupid thing happened and I couldn't get it on the turntable under its own power. Plus, I wanted to start running some track-friendly coolant. I ended up discovering that the outlet fitting was just loose, and that was a pretty easy fix. I also wanted to put an engine diaper on just to contain any possible catastrophic failure, but there is not enough room between the oil pan and the K-member in the van to get it on there, and that's going to have to wait for a later time. The last thing on my list for possible tech violations was the neutral safety switch. It's never been super reliable, and I wanted to get it taken care of so I didn't have any problems.
Reverse, neutral.
Wayne's car really needed an oil change, and after a couple weeks of daily driving, it started smoking pretty good too, which we attributed to a clogged PCV valve.
And when it spins off, it's going to drain like onto the exhaust and be smelly and crappy. That's just how they're designed. Okay. All right, so new filter. This is your oil. So they sell this in 1 gallon jugs or 2.5 gallon jugs. Okay. They don't sell this by the quart, and this needs 5 quarts plus the filter. So, right. So now we have enough basically for a second oil change also. Okay, cool. First thing you're going to do is pour the oil, basically fill the filter like 3/4 of the way. Don't fill it all the way up because it'll, as you're putting it up, it's going to spill all over the place.
Yeah.
So I came up with the plan of having both boys work on their cars at the same time while I went back and forth to assist them. While Wayne was changing his oil, Noah was drilling a bracket for the new fuel pump.
So when you look at the old filter, sometimes these gaskets come... Oh, and that's the other thing, is you want to rub your finger around and get this gasket wet, but sometimes this gasket sticks on the engine block.
Okay.
And you'll have 2 you don't want that. So just make sure that this gasket's on the old filter. Rub some oil around there, and yeah. Cool.
Went through the second one.
All right, so then we need a bolt that's going to go through there with a nut on it. So if you go into these boxes here, you'll find various bolts of various lengths and sizes. Just find one. Those are nuts. Like, that's probably too long. But just go through. In these, you should find something.
While Noah was searching for bolts, I helped Wayne finish up his first oil change.
Yeah, it gets tighter as it's on there just with the pressure and stuff, but if you just tighten it with your hands as good as you can, that's all it needs to do.
Okay.
You don't need to kill it. Pull the dipstick out and check it. Again, it's going to fluctuate a little bit once it's running, like once we start it and the oil gets through over there, but it should be pretty close. Dipstick's that red one right there. This one. Yep. So you pull that out, wipe it off, and then stick it back in and check it. And then you just see where the level's at. You want to try to hold it straight so that it's not... Flip it around. Over. There. Okay. So you're right between the add and full line. So you could go a little bit more, and then you should be real close. All right, did you find a nut?
Trying to. I don't think there's any others.
That is tiny. That is a very tiny bolt. That's not what we want.
That was the only one I could find that could fit through there.
Okay.
So I sent Noah on his first solo trip to the hardware store to get some better bolts while Wayne cleaned out his PCV valve.
Is this just friction fit?
Yep. Okay. All right, sir, your oil change should be done. So take it off the jack stands, get that oil pan out from underneath there, and then we will put your hose on your gas tank.
Okay.
And just make sure the handle's turned all the way tight. I double check that like 3 times as I'm jacking it up, because otherwise, if it's like a little bit loose, it'll start to bleed off pressure. So like the car will slowly start coming down. All right, so all we're doing is, if you look at the gas tank where that filler comes in, there's another little hose above it that is for the vent.
Like there's nothing coming off of it.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. That's why I said if you were like on an incline
Uh-huh.
and if the tank was full, it could come out.
Now I see what you mean, yeah.
What was your first solo experience at the hardware store getting bolts?
Spent way too long in the wrong aisle.
Oh, what aisle were you in?
I was in the one that we normally go to, where the like. Give me a second.
Okay.
These type things are. You know the shelf. You know the shelves that are like the tiny ones, like the size of those ones, if not smaller. It had like these things that like go for plumbing and stuff.
Oh.
I was in that
Gotcha.
aisle for
Okay.
a good minute before I realized I was in the wrong aisle.
Got it. All right,
So
which
then
one was-
also I found the 2.5 was a little bit shorter than what I was thinking, so I got the 2.5 and I got the 3.
Perfect.
And then this was the only washers that fit the size of the quarter.
Okay, that's fine. Good. Good job. You getting it?
Yep, 1 second. I'm getting it and then I'll tighten it.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure you're getting it.
Yeah, I got it through.
Sweet. Okay. So
You just attach it to where the glove. Oh, maybe not. I got it in.
all right, well then abort that. Just pull it back out.
Okay.
It's not a huge deal. We can either make a new hole or we can just loop it around. I mean, honestly, because we've got plenty of hose. I would just put it on there, loop it up here,
Okay.
and then bring it up this way. Then connect. Because again, we're gonna cut this one off,
Uh-huh.
and we're gonna attach the new hose to that.
Okay.
So you don't have to reinvent anything. Just make it so it doesn't get pinched. All right, buddy, I'm coming. You got it in?
Yep.
Tightened up? Sweet.
Okay, 1 moment.
All right, so the next thing is, so here's your fitting that's going to go in the front of that. All right, so remember how we did this? You gotta thread that thing on there.
Yeah. This one, right?
Nope, this comes apart, remember? That's not doing anything. There you go. That goes on the hose. How we doing over here?
It's so the tail end of the pipe kind of bends up, and so it keeps flipping over the lip of the tube whenever it goes in. So it's like it's not fit to it. It's like there. It's so hard to explain. It's like there's not enough leeway because of how thick this is between the tube and the wall.
Okay.
So I've been trying to pull it, but it keeps like bending in like that. Like it keeps catching the lip of it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get it centered on that. It's just a matter of finagling it, but it's such a tight spot. That
Right.
It's, like I need to make sure I have enough leeway, but not too much. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
let me see.
Is it threading? Let me see.
Kinda.
Yeah, you're getting it. It's tedious, but that's it. Good job.
Here we still have a little bit of extra room, give or take, at the cut. If we have a little bit extra, I'd say probably right here would be a good cut, give or take.
Okay,
After a lot of grunting and swearing, we had to drop the whole gas tank to get this vent tube on. But we persevered.
Give it one pump. Wayne, pump the gas one time. Oh, it didn't look like it moved. It's not smoking as bad as it was the other day at all.
Yeah.
So I think that definitely, if it didn't fix it, it helped it tremendously. Well, you learned a lot today.
Yeah. Gas burns. It really, really burns.
It's a good day, though.
Yeah.
All's well that ends well.
Except my hand.
Alas, our celebration was short-lived. Wayne backed it down the driveway, it stalled, wouldn't restart, and I realized we needed to replace the whole fuel line. We obviously cracked
All right,
something.
go ahead and crank it. Give it a pump. Another one. Stop. There you go. There you go. Yep. Rev it up. Rev it up. All right, buddy. We live to cruise another day.
Yeah. Yeah. We do.
Go shut it off. Take it off the jack stands.
And I'm sure there will be many more days like this to come.